Pipe Network presents.
On this episode of Season 4, let's talk.
If my student is not comfortable with what he is doing, um, his music would show that, for example, my student is angry or something like uh, what is this? Just from outside, he is lonely or something like really that bad. Okay, then if I will force him to play his guitar, it will show.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Rajiv Show, and I'm your host Rajiv Doreswamy. And this show aims to help reach out to those who are currently struggling in life and to remind you that life is indeed beautiful when you're inspired to make it your own. Before we get into this episode, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to whichever platform you are using. And if you want to connect with me, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at The Rajiv Show. Hey, folks, welcome back to The Rajiv Show. And this is another special episode here on The Rajiv Show. I'm going to have a conversation with one of my mentor, advisor, slash classical guitar teacher, Sir Phil Dela Rosa, and of course for the past 6 semesters, um, my teacher, this teacher of mine, has taught me how to play. If not for him, I won't be less of an amateur in terms of playing classical guitar. Sir Phil, how are you doing, sir? I wanna I wanna
Yeah,
make it
I'm
grand.
doing good. I'm doing good. And it's nice that I meet you again this
I know,
time. But
sir. I
I,
know, sir.
I'm very glad that here we are again talking
I
with
know.
each other.
Sir, so
Yeah.
before we get into the conversation, of course, could you tell my listeners a little bit about who you are? Aside from the stuff that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, I'm a classical guitar teacher, and I'm fond of trying to discover the logic about music theory. So most of the time I spend my vacant period, especially during this pandemic. I spend my time trying to find the reasons why there are scales, why there are minors and other scales, and what are the effects and what are the considerations you need to have to discover this kind of scales, musical scales. So I'm busy finding the reason why scales are really the backbone of music.
So
That's it.
folks, just so you know, if you are interested, there's gonna be a little bit of a masterclass because yeah, as my guest mentioned, of course, we are gonna talk about music. So if you guys are interested, hop onto this podcast
Mm.
and listen and tune in. You'll pick up a thing or two. But first, before we get, of course, into the deep dive of music and everything else in between,
Mm.
we gotta know a little bit about our guest. Let's take it back. Let's take it back into high school, sir. If you and I were
Mm-hmm.
classmates in high
Mm-hmm.
school, who were you in high school? Are you the
Yeah.
introvert? Are you the popular guy? Are you the guy at the back of the class, or are you guy in the front of the class? Studying hard. I gotta ask.
Oh, I'm a little bit, a kind of bit of introvert because from a broken family, I need to think of what would be my next move to earn and to work to earn for a living, because I was working student before, so I need to work. And from that, I was becoming a shy away from my classmates and friends, so a little bit of introvert. But I'm so keen with kind of music they were playing and the instrument they were playing. That's why I'm basically self-taught guitar. I just learned my guitar after I have learned so many things about the classical guitar by teaching myself. That's it.
That, that's interesting right out of the bat.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
introverted. That's weird because when I was in high school, I was much more opposite, especially when I was in India. And then when I went to college, I became
Uh,
a little bit introverted. I was rarely associating myself.
oh,
And yeah, Sir Phil knows.
yeah.
Sir Phil knows
Yes,
because he
yeah,
was my
yeah,
teacher.
yeah,
He was the only guy I
yeah.
would talk to in college.
Because I just earned my confidence when I graduated from college,
Hmm.
because that's the only time I knew that I could do something and make myself above some of my friends and classmates,
Hmm.
because I was thinking before that I could not make it in college
Yeah.
because of my situation then. Yeah.
For those listeners out there, there's an interesting story that I want to share on how I met Sir Phil. Actually, it was not in the music studio. It was not even close to the music studio. This was funny. I hope Sir
Yes,
Phil
yeah.
remembers.
I remember
This,
that.
yeah.
I remember that event.
This
Yeah,
was,
well, when
yeah,
I was talking, we were talking about my invention, the music slide.
yeah.
Was that? Yeah,
Um,
yes.
but
And
I'll
I
narrate
was,
the entire story from my perspective as well as your story as well. So what happened was, I think this was I think second year or first year. Yeah, it was second year. I think it was year end second year, and I was about to head home. So it was raining, and
mhm,
I think
yeah, yes,
I was heading home, and then just I was heading home. Just I was about to go down because our college is in the mountains, on top of the mountain, and then there's a road that you go down in order to get into the transportation. Just as I was leaving,
yes,
I met Sir Phil. He was standing there and he was taking a breather. And then we just met. It was just spontaneous. We just spoke. And it was funny. We spoke for
yes.
hours and hours while we were waiting for the rain to
Yeah.
sing. And then from then on
And we
out,
were not cheating, huh?
yeah, we were not even sitting because I think I remember you told me specifically that you you were waiting because you there was something going on, so palpitation or something. You had something going on. I remember.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so you needed a
Because
breather, something. And then
yes,
it's
yeah.
funny. The breather was so long. We extended the conversation, and then the funny
Yeah,
part about
yeah.
that was, I don't think I remember mentioning you this story was, uh, when I approached one of our seniors. I asked them, I don't know anything about classical guitar, and then they mentioned your
Mm-hmm.
name. And then
Mm-hmm.
it was so happened that everything fell into place. It was very weird because when they were separating applied, I think around second year, third year, I remember around third year,
Hmm.
we had the opportunity now to choose our own instruments. So we could choose piano, we could
Yeah.
choose classical guitar, we could choose anything. And I think at that time there was drums, but a few months after that, I think drums got dissolved. But when
Mm-hmm.
when I chose to go for classical guitar because the bass was not available. I wanted to actually pursue bass, double bass, but no one was available to teach double
Mm.
bass. And they
Yeah.
suggested me Sir Phil, and it was before that conversation, when it was like a catch up basically, and from then on out it became catch up. Basically, every
Yeah.
class we had like practice session, and then at least we do like 5 minutes practice session, and then from then on out we just end up
Hmm.
communicating and exchanging ideas, not even relevant to the subject, but
Yes.
we made sure that every minute was worth every single conversation. But that's how
Yes.
I remember it from my
But
perspective. But
but
how
our
about Sir Phil's? Yeah, Sir Phil's
but our
perspective.
conversation was a sensible one,
Yeah,
with full of sense. I don't want conversation without any nonsense conversation. I don't
yeah,
want that.
true,
So
true.
I found out that I like I like most of the time I like our conversation,
Yeah,
and I found out that I learn from you and you learn from me.
true, true.
That's what I like.
The funny thing, was in our first class also. I remember this specifically. In our first class, the conversation was so deep that we I think we extended five
Mhm.
minutes prior to the next or to the next student is. And the first thing expression that my mentor said, my teacher said, my guest said that that you're a very deep thinker, and that's really interesting. And he said it in Tagalog, malalim yung
Mhm.
isip mo. It was kind of, yeah, that's how I
Yes.
remembered
Yeah.
it. But Sir Phil, give us a background on
Yeah.
how your perspective was the first time we met, so that at least we get the best of both worlds here.
Yeah. Whenever I find a person, I try to listen carefully what he has inside. What I mean is like this, because as a musician, most of the time I'm trying to be comfortable with the person to whom I'm talking with, and trying to be at his use. If he's telling something like personal,
Hmm.
personal. So when we were talking before, I found out that you are trying to find something like what's your relationship with your surroundings, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
So when you are trying to impart to me or telling me what you feel inside, I became interested. That's
yeah,
why I became interested, because you're a deep thinker,
yeah,
and I won't be spending too much time with a person if I don't learn something from him.
yeah,
So I found out that I'm learning from you. That's why I really having a good time talking with you. That even in our class lesson,
yeah,
or
yeah,
guitar lesson. In
yeah.
guitar lesson, we just spend some of our time, like 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
And
Then
the
the
music.
rest of the time will be we'll just be
Yeah.
talking with each other about life.
But the
you
parts that
know,
I hated the
you know.
most was when it was crunch time and examination. I remember, don't do not talk today. We're not gonna talk today. I remember how much you used to grill
Yeah,
me.
yeah,
You're not gonna talk a lot today. We're gonna practice because it's your examination. But he said it in a sweet way. I
yes,
mean,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah,
Because I want my student to be comfortable, because uh, if my student is not comfortable with what he is doing, um, his music would show that. For example, my student is angry, or something like uh, what is this? Just from outside, he is lonely, or something like really that bad.
mm,
Okay, then if I will force him to play his guitar, it
mm,
will show to his music. I could feel his music, that even though his music is like a sweet music, it comes out that it's not sweet music, because of what
mm,
he feels at that moment. So I'm trying, as much as possible. I'm trying for my student to be comfortable, and if I found out that if my student is not comfortable by that moment, or by
mm,
that time, I don't force him to play the guitar, because it won't help. So But if for example, if I could make my student comfortable,
Mm.
and he shows me that he is practicing at home, it's okay to me. It's okay, no problem. So that's why I found out that you're practicing at home. That's why most of the time we are just talking with each other,
Yeah.
just telling the story for the. That's it. Because I'm particular. What you were asking to me, the feeling. That's what a part of it. Because I can feel whether the student is uncomfortable by that time,
Yeah.
or maybe he's not feeling well. So I cannot force him to play the
Mm.
guitar.
Makes sense.
I cannot.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because uh, for example, yeah, I found out that you are angry at that time. Then I force you to play your piece. Oh,
I
it
don't
won't
remember
help.
that piece.
It won't help. Even though the your music or your piece would be a happy music,
Mm.
it
Yeah.
won't come out. It will come out as a angry piece. You know what?
Yeah. Yeah.
It will come out.
The
So I
funny
don't I
thing
don't force my
the
student.
funny thing that I remember experiencing with my professor with Sir Phil is this experience. I spent, I think, 1 year, or I think I took off a one semester out of my thing. I didn't take an applied because I was really
Yeah.
focused. It was funny. This was very very funny because I haven't shared this with anybody, and this is the first time you folks are gonna hear it from the Rajiv show. Is that there was this beautiful piece, which is a Tagalog piece called Sa Ugoy ng Duyan. And
Yeah, yeah.
someone played it, and it was a beautiful piece. And it was my very first kundiman, I think. When I heard it, I said, I gotta have this. And then I remember the that semester, I immediately said, Sir Phil, could you give me a copy of that? Because Sir Phil has like loads and loads of books of scores, musical scores. So when I got that score, I remember distinctively that that same semester, or that year or something, somewhere around that timeline, the next semester, I never took the subject. I never took a classical guitar subject because I wanted to prove myself, my worth to that piece, and I wanted to put my heart out. But to wrap that
Now I know the
story, yeah,
reason why.
yeah, yeah, and to wrap that story, the end result was, it was, I kind of, I mastered like a few bars here and there, but I didn't really get it up to par from my expectation. But then I kept in the effort, and it was I love the piece, and I still have it somewhere here
Hmm.
at home. But yeah, that's a phenomenal piece. If you guys are tuning in from YouTube and thing, you guys check it out. Sa Ugoy ng Duyan. It's saying, I'll leave the cliff notes on the description below. But anyway, let's talk
Mm-mm.
music. We spoke about ourselves a lot.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
uh,
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Sure.
music, because I had a conversation about my dad also in previous episodes, and his perspective of music was much more different because he was also trained in the classical sense. And the funny thing is, when
Oh.
you mentioned the self-taught, that's different. It's a different feeling. And the funny thing that I learned is, how do you come up with these methods and these techniques? Because that is the first thing that ever popped into my head. If I were to have a conversation and
Mm-hmm.
record a podcast with my the professor,
Mm-hmm.
how do you come up with your
uh,
ideas?
I know. At the first place, as I've told you before, I was an introvert,
Yeah.
and I was just observing my friends how to play their instrument,
Mm.
and I was afraid to ask them how to do it. So I just get my old guitar, because my mother had an old guitar then. So trying to make some of the things that I've watched from my friends. Then
mm,
I did it at home. Then the, I found out that the most effective way to learn is by your own.
mm,
Just watch what people is doing around you, and just emulate what they are doing,
mm,
and trying to find out whether it is right or proper, or just throw out whatever it's not needed
mm,
uh, to your interest.
mm,
So from then on, whenever I listen to music, I'm trying to find what musical instrument they are using,
mm,
what kind of music or the genre of the music they're playing,
mm,
how many players are there,
mm,
and what is the scale they're using. From there, I don't know. It just like it just came out like that.
mm,
So trying to analyze the structure of music, so I came comes out that I was until now I'm
mm.
trying to analyze why scale uh, has that kind of ethos. You know the meaning of ethos, the character
Yeah,
of music
yeah.
that comes out from the scale,
Mm,
and why there are minor scales, why there are major scales, and what influence the feeling of man to make to be happy from listening
mm,
to that kind of music. So until now, I cannot find the real reason why there are major scales, but my I think this is my one of the gratitude I had. I found out the logic of the scale.
mm,
I found out the structure of the scale. That's why it is very easy for me to teach the music theory,
mm, mm,
and I found out the secret or the key, the real key. What now? My what I mean is not the key of music.
mm,
What I mean is the core of the music theory. That if a person would sit down with me and try to find out the uh, the real core of
mm,
music, I can tell him the uh, the formula
mm,
of the core of the music, and he can immediately answer whatever music theory question somebody would ask him. It would be easy. It's so easy. I don't know. That's I found. I just found it.
yeah.
Being an introvert,
Yeah, it's kind of weird though.
just like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's weird. It's weird.
from one perspective to the other, most likely the introverts, I cannot speak on behalf of the introverts because for me, I don't really subscribe to labels. But yeah, I digress to the idea
Mm-hmm.
of being introverted. The main point I'm saying is that introverts normally come up with weird good stuff, and the extroverts are the ones that manage to sell it. It's very weird. It's like the salesman's
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing.
You're right.
And
You're
it's
right.
very very weirdly peculiar is that the extroverts, I'm
Hmm.
not bashing on introverts or extroverts here who are tuning in. No offense to you guys. I mean, you
Hmm.
guys have your own way of doing things. It's just that we're looking at it from personal opinionated
Hmm.
perspectives.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
one thing that I know about my sir is the analytic part. The analytic is very very um very interesting. The one thing that I'm really fascinated with my professor, especially, there were many a times in class, he was the basic go-to guy, and I think he agrees with me because yeah, my batch, the
Yeah.
batch before me, and I think the batch before me, the first batch of music students, the go-to guy was Sir Phil, basically. It was like
Yeah.
he was like Don Corleone. He was the mafia. you know, because that's how I
Yeah,
remember.
my
Yeah,
principle.
yeah,
Because one of the principles in my life is that I need to learn from somebody.
mm,
I don't even the lowliest person on earth. I think I could learn from him something.
mm,
That's why I'm so that kind of very welcome.
yeah,
Yes, you know what I mean. Because
yeah,
because I'm sticking to my principles. You know, the Kuwait. I've shared it to you before. The Kuwait, the knowledge, the acronym Kuwait.
yeah,
I'm sticking to it until now. The knowledge, the understanding, and the wisdom. That is the KUW, and the AI is application, internalization. The last one is to teach.
yeah,
Yeah. So I'm sticking to it. That's why until now, I'm so very interested talking to persons, any in any to any person.
yeah,
Am interested to talk with them because I know I could learn something from them. That's why, especially in topic of music,
yeah.
and also to the mathematicians, you know,
Mm,
because I could relate music to mathematics. That's why I
mm,
came the core I was talking to
yeah,
the core of music. It's mathematics formula, mathematical formula. That's why until now I'm trying to find why 4 and 7 is the significant numbers in music. That's what I found out, that 4 and 7 there are the two significant numbers in music, and trying to find out why. And until now I cannot find the reason, but I hope someday I can find it sometime someday.
yeah. That's one obsession with Sir Phil. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
another story that I want to share is this one this is also another unshared story between me and Sir Phil. I remember this
Mhm.
distinctively because this was my second semester, and I think this is the first time I opted for an evening class. It was, I think, midnight or 7, 8 or something. And then right after the
Mm.
class, I had a heart to heart with Sir Phil. I think Sir Phil was in the office, in the Don Corleone office. It was really like a mafia setup
Then.
because everybody was there, and then they were leaving, and then I caught up with him. I think he was about to leave the studio. He was about to lock up the studio, and then we
Mhm.
got to chatting. I remember we chatted until 8. I don't know if you still remember that. Uh, that was when we
Okay.
got really personal. We got down and personal to sing because I
Uh-huh.
remember that was when we were talking about your history and
Mm.
a lot of stuff, your history and how you sing. And I think we even ended up in a debate. And in the end of it, sige nga, uwi na tayo. Basically, he said that, we gotta go home
Oh
because it's
yeah.
kind of getting late.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one of my
Yeah.
cherished moments with Sir Phil because that was the first time actually. But I had some evening
Mhm.
classes the next coming semesters. But that was one of the after semester kind of master class that I had a one on one with Sir Phil. But it was more on the personal side. I
Mm.
mean, there were guitars here and there, but yeah.
Mhm.
Aside from that, it was just the conversation that really sparkled my interest. Now let's talk about
Mhm.
maths. One of my most dreadful
Wow.
subject in high school because in my life I can never find the X.
Let X be.
Yeah, let X be,
uh,
and
yes.
it's funny. I can never find as much as he or she wants to be found. I'll never want to find X. I just want X to move on. Uh, and
Mhm.
one thing I know is that my professor is actually a mathematician. But before we dissect maths and get back into the music and
Mm.
correlate maths and
Yeah.
music, folks, we're gonna have a short break,
Mm.
and then after that, we'll be right back.
Okay.
Do you want to get great deals? Go to Pipe Marketplace. Visit pipenetwork.co/marketplace and use the promo code TRS to get exclusive discounts. Chat with them now. Basta Podcast, Pipe yan.
Hey everyone! We are the 3am Avenue podcast series, ang hashtag tropang madaming ebas.
Here to have genuine conversations about life, love, career, and many more.
Don't forget to search for us on Spotify. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at 3am Podcast Series to hear more about our Tropas Kwentuhans, adventures, and journey towards reaching our goals. See you, mga katropa!
FC
Hey, pal!
Hey folks, welcome back to the Rajiv Show, and my guest again, my professor, my advisor, my teacher, my classical guitar teacher, Sir Phil Dela Rosa. And in the first half of this conversation, we were talking about music. And just before the break, we were about to transition into maths and its correlation to music. It was funny. I made a joke that I really cannot find X and I will never find X. I want to find something else better than X. But yeah. um, Before we get into this part of the conversation, I know that uh, during our conversations in college, my teacher, Sir Phil himself, told me that he studied accountancy, and I think that is one of his main advantages when it came to music theory and analytics. Because I think for me, I don't have any experience, but I'm just saying that in all the things that he's done, the analytic habit, I think it through the span of the years has been the mainstay for him to analyze music. I think that's how he sees music prior to, of course, playing and hearing it out, and that's one thing fascinating about him. How did you get the blend? I gotta ask, how did you get this blend?
Being an observant person, uh, loving music and loving math at the first place is
Mm.
my most of the interest I have is in music and in math, and not only in math but also on other subjects like science.
Mm.
That's I'm trying to relate math with music science, but most of them I'm trying to relate math with music.
Mm.
That's why I came out with with a question why the numbers I've mentioned before, the 4 and 7,
Mm.
is related to music.
Mm.
Just like asking why there are 4 weeks in a month and 7 days in a week, and why July and August has 31 days, and also December and January. And if I would relate it to the scale, Mi Fa has no, there is no uh, black key or a note in between Mi Fa and Ti Do.
Mm.
And if I would relate it to a month, it's July and August, because July and August, they are the succeeding month uh, from July is August, and they have 31 days each, and also December and January. Those are the things that most of the time is occupying my mind, why there are such uneven or unequal days in a month. And also in music, why there are half steps and whole steps, and there is a something like um, uh, unequal numbers of sharps and flats.
Mm.
So those are the things that occupying was occupying my mind before. So I found out that the struggles between the 4 and the 7 is that it harmonizes these two numbers harmonize the uh, the sound of music.
Hmm.
So maybe it could be a long explanation, but by this time I could only share that the struggle between the 4 and the 7 harmonizes the music, and the number 2 between them naturalizes the struggles between these two. That's why I found out the number 4 is the reason why there are flats, and the number 7 is the reason why there are sharps. And it's also the reason why I had this three musical, what is it, the device, musical device, invention of musical device. The first one is the music slide. Then another thing is the music cube. Music cube.
Yeah.
Have I showed it to you, music
Yep.
cube, before?
I remember.
And also this one, yeah, the music cube. And it's so nice to be a project of the elementary school children. And also the the music card. These three. So when one of the famous school here overheard my invention,
Hmm.
just 2 weeks ago, they asked me to share my invention, my musician's slide rule, and they asked my permission if they could share my invention to the music, or the Philippine Music Association, Teachers Association. Sorry,
Yeah.
Philippine Music Teachers Association. I cannot remember that vision, something like that. Now, so I permitted them to use it. So I received so many feedback and comments regarding that, and that was one of the moments that I remember you, because you were asking such kind of questions
Yeah.
before. So I answered them, you know, because because if those questions were not asked me before,
Mm.
because you had questions to me before, then I was not able to answer your questions before. Now I
Yeah.
could answer it already. So it it prepared me. Your questions prepared me to answer questions where those questions who are really difficult to answer. So by this time I could answer them already. But if I could have time to explain these things, I'm really with open arms. I could share it to them, how it works, my invention. But of course, one of the easy, uh, what I think is very the easiest way to share my invention is through the YouTube. That's why I was asking you before
Yeah.
about the YouTube, and until now I cannot do it because I don't know why, but there is no. What I feel is there is no proper time yet by this time. So until now I cannot share it on YouTube. But of course, if some there who want, who wants to say who wants, if he wants to, if he could, if he would, if he wants to ask me about that thing, I'm willing to share. I'm willing to share. Yeah, and I found out also that music is only in module 7. Module 7. It's all about module 7, and you can find all the answers about music theory in module 7. That's why if you are trying to figure out why music has a pleasing sound or a pleasant sound, the answer is there, the modulus 7, the modulus 7 of math. And also why there is an ethos. Ethos, what I mean of ethos is that the character of music,
Hmm.
the feeling in music, the happy feeling, the lonely or the sad feeling.
Hmm.
The reason is in modulus 7. And I found out also that the number 4 is the most stable number, and the number 7
Unstable.
is the most sensitive number. That's why sometimes, most of the time, not sometimes, most of the time, number 7 is going flat. That's why there are chords G7, D7, something like that. Because the number 7 has to adjust to number 4 so that the harmony of these two notes would go pleasantly. That's the reason, and that's good. That's good.
For
I found it
those
good.
for those
Nice.
who are listening and who could relate, that is how simple it is. I hope it was ever simplified because I remember when I did music theory, it was not really that simple. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I remember I had to
yeah.
repeat
It's
my
not.
theory subject twice because saying. And then when I met Sir, he said, "Why are you overcomplicating?" Because my earlier problems back then was I was mixing and matching a lot of elements. I think I was working
Mm,
with harmony because chords, that was one thing that I was struggling with, and which I kind of somehow remedied it in the second theory. But mostly it was
mm-hmm,
confusion between harmony, chords, diatonic triads, melody, which was later I learned that
mm.
melody is something else, and then scales. I thought melody and scales were s- two similar ideas, and then when Sir Phil
Right.
separated those two,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and then scales connecting to
Mm-hmm.
diatonic is another different subject matter, and it was kind of simplified. To me, it was like,
Yeah,
yeah, that
it's
was
so
my
so
first
simple.
struggle. Yeah,
So
that was my
so
struggle.
simple. Whenever I'm looking for, when I'm looking for something like uh, problems regarding music theory,
Hmm.
or whenever I'm looking at my the wall in my Facebook, there are so many questions there how to
Hmm.
do these things. Now, sometimes I'm wishing that I could meet them, because it's so easy, and yet they are struggling. So the difficulty in their I can feel the difficulty in their heart, you know, that they cannot find the method or the solution to the difficulty on their plight being a music student. So sometimes I'm trying to, because I am a member of a music association here
Hmm. Hmm.
in Baguio, and I was the president before. And the members of this association, they share it to most of the students, music students here in northern Luzon. And some of them are not my friends. They are not my friends in Facebook. And sometimes my messenger is crowded with questions regarding the music theory.
Hmm.
And even though I'm so willing to answer all of them, I could find that I cannot it's not possible for me to answer all of those things, because of course, lack of time and lack of communication, because they are not my friends in Facebook.
Hmm.
So sometimes I feel sorry about it, but it could not help but just to feel sorry,
Yeah.
because I could not answer all of their questions. But if I could only reach them and tell them that the only secrets in music theory is that the I named the oh by the way I call my formula as pentanumeric.
Mm,
Pentanumeric means five intervals before you can reach the next key.
mm,
And the alphabetic expression in music, I call it uh, linear pitches, because you can actually incorporate or you can actually relate the outcome of the result of the formula to music theory, wherein the result will be very good. The harmony will be so nice. It's so pleasant.
mm.
So uh, so if I could only reach them and tell them, oh, this is the only formula for music theory, and I can see in my imagination, I can see on their face that they would be happy. And only if I could only make so many slide rule. Oh, what music slide, because of course, I'd be running out of budget to make all of this. But if I could only share to them the secret of my invention, the music slide, I can see in their faces that they would be happy as a musician to perform their composition,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, and I'm so limited with my resources. That's why I cannot share them, all of them, all
Hopefully,
these.
hopefully,
Uh,
those who are tuning in,
yeah.
those listeners that Sir Phil mentioned, I hope you're tuning in. We'll look for a way to make sure that we'll see if we could make something happen. Let's make something happen, and hopefully, just stay tuned. By the release of this episode, just stay
Mm-hmm.
tuned. So yeah, because Sir Phil's techniques, methods, for me as a person, as a student under Sir Phil, um, I do love his technique. It's very simplified. I mean, it's very hard to
Yeah.
without his technique. For me personally, this is just like I said, opinionated. Without me saying, without me experiencing so much hardships that I had, I would have never actually graduated right around this time because of the stuff that he brings to the table. Because it's really amazing and interesting in the same thing, and it's fun actually, especially the way he expresses them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Yes, good. Because every time I could meet a music student that they are trying to find the answers regarding their assignments and works,
Mm,
homeworks. um, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible to explain it, the music theory. And I found out also that the music students or the music teachers, not I'm not against the music teachers, okay.
mm,
The conventional music teachers, and what I
mm,
mean is that they're trying to make it so difficult to understand the music theory while it is so easy to understand it. And I found that the students found the music theory as so intimidating, while in reality it's not. It's so
mm,
simple.
mm,
So just an advice to the music students:
mm.
just make it simple and try to learn the module 7 in mathematics. And if you can relate it to music, the seven notes of the music, do re mi fa sol la ti,
Mm.
those are the seven notes. And try to learn about the module 7. You can find, I believe that you can find also the core or the answer to your music theory questions. That's it.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
It's been a masterclass coming from an introverted. It's kind of it's kind of different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always a masterclass having a conversation with Sir Phil. You know, if only I could travel back in time and take the podcast, that take this entire setup and have a conversation over that time, we would have like millions and pieces of content that would actually be helpful for fellow podcast fellow musicians and music enthusiasts, or probably podcasters who are also into the music side. You know, it's always been a masterclass every time. There's no there I won't deny it, there's never a conversation that's never been interesting with Sir Phil.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. That
Yeah, I always send my love
yeah,
to you,
yeah,
sir. That's the one thing.
yeah. Me too. Me too. Because I miss our talk.
Yeah,
I miss our conversation, and even we that's our topic is limitless. You
yeah,
know what
that's
I mean?
true, that's
It's li-
true. If we were to make a podcast, we'd probably have like an entire 24 hours conversation slashed into episodes. Then probably would have like, it's editing. Yeah, editing portion.
yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna
It,
be the saddest part of
yes.
the edit if we had an editor. But if we had pieces of content,
Mm,
like our entire conversation would be like close to 5 hours. He editor would have a tough
yes.
time
Yeah.
editing. But yeah.
Yeah, and I really appreciate your be going to my studio. I really appreciate that, and telling me the funny things that you have experienced the day at the
Yeah.
day. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm really interested to what you are telling me. That's good. It's
Yeah.
sensible.
It's
Yeah.
funny. Every time, the one thing that really hated the most was when I can't really find you. That's
Mm-hmm.
the toughest part. That's the toughest part when I
Mm.
really wanna sing. Those are the times where I kind of it's is very hard for me when I want to release a particular problem or something. I always look for you, but then I end
Mm.
up, you know,
Mm.
I end up not finding you. Is very weird, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's all.
yeah,
And the
that's good.
support,
It's
the
good.
love and support that Sir Phil has done over the past 6 semesters. That's thing.
And the understanding also, I think so.
The understanding.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Because you have shared me before that. I think we had the same experience,
Huh.
and I can feel your no your sentiments. I
Mm.
can feel it. That's why I like what you are telling me.
The funny thing, the funny experience that I've had, the funny thing that I've experienced in college, and I don't know if I've mentioned this in the episode with my classmate, is that with G's Alip's conversation, is that it was a different experience for me when it comes to, I kind of agree with what you said in the earlier, I think, I don't know
Hmm.
if I kind of inherited that same sentiment for logical, meaningful conversation. I think I've inherited that from you, because to me, I'm a sucker for a good conversation. That's one thing about me. I'm a sucker
Mm.
for a good conversation.
Hmm.
And when by the end
Yeah, me
of
too.
the conversation, I always want to ask myself a question, is like, oh, that could have been possible. Huh, that question challenged me. That part of the conversation challenged me.
Mm.
And you take it into you take it into the entire thing until you go to bed, and you'd be pondering upon, and then probably you come
Yes,
out.
yeah.
There were times like that. You often challenge my thinking. In college, I've never had that kind of enjoyment with my peers, and I think I've
Uh-huh.
even mentioned it with you,
Uh-huh.
because
Uh-huh.
In college, it was. I don't mean to bash on anyone. It's just that um, there are times where I like to sit down and have a conversation, but um of course when
Mm.
people are talking in the background and they're talking about this stuff, it's mostly, you know, what Auntie Maria did in the neighborhood, you know. Things that don't make sense. You know what my
Yeah,
ex-boyfriend did to
yeah,
me
yeah,
5 years ago,
yeah.
you know. And
Oh, I
uh
don't, I don't. Most of the time, I don't listen to such
yeah,
kind of talk. No, I
it's
don't.
like, you know, like the dog, you know what the dog did when I was backing in the gate, you know, all those kind of stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, to me, I
yeah,
kind of have that filter system. It's like when you're talking to me, will I get something valuable from this conversation? Yes, then we'll proceed.
yes,
If
yeah,
not,
yeah,
then forget
yeah,
about it. I don't want to talk to you about it. But
yeah.
yeah,
Forget. Yeah, yeah,
that's the funny thing
yeah.
about me, because mostly they talk about, you
And
know, ex-boyfriends and
uh,
5 years
mm,
ago, and you know they can't move
yes.
on.
Maybe, maybe you also noticed me. You talk first, then I
Yeah, that's
listen.
true. That's
Maybe
true.
you.
That's
Yeah,
true. I've
yeah.
noticed that.
Mm.
For 5 years, yeah. For
Yeah,
4 years technically,
yeah.
because I only met you in the second year of my thing. 5 years was my
Mm.
time span, but I
Ah,
met you in
yeah.
my second year. But yeah, the
Oh,
phenomenal
that's good.
conversation. Anyway, to wrap this
Yeah.
conversation up,
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of people are waiting and anticipating for this portion. Is that if
Mm.
my listeners out there, or the Facebook folks that you mentioned earlier, want to find you on social media, how do they find you on social media, sir?
Social media like Facebook.
Yes, yes.
You just send me a message or a personal message. Then, if they have a question regarding what our topic for today, I would be willing to answer. I would be willing to answer them, but they have to wait because there are so many messages that I receive each day,
Yeah.
and asking for how is this, how is that. Even like the question is coming from as far as Africa, you know. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So there's a
and
waiting list. Folks, check him out
yeah,
on
there's a
Facebook.
waiting list.
There's a add him
There's a,
add
because
him on
yeah,
Facebook.
most of the time.
Mm.
Oh, I don't pay. Oh, and you know, I'm happy. I'm happy if I could share it to them. The only thing is that they have to wait for the answer.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah,
So, with that
that's
in
it.
mind, yeah, this wraps up our conversation. We spoke about music, maths, and a little bit of here and
Yeah,
there
yeah,
experiences with, of course,
yeah.
my
Thank you
one
so
and
much for inviting me here.
thank you for being a part of this. I just
Thank
want to
you.
say thank you.
Yeah, and I'm happy for you
Thank you so
because
much.
you found what what brings you happiness. You know.
True,
You know,
true.
because before you were trying to find what is that thing that will make you happy,
Yeah, that secret
and I'm
sauce.
trying yeah, I'm trying to figure it out also. Now you've found it already, so I'm
Yeah,
happy for you.
yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank my guests for
Yeah.
coming to the Rajiv show. Hopefully, in the coming seasons, if we have another season, hopefully we'd have a roundtable, or hopefully, if you want to have a music masterclass, we'd take an one season in the Rajiv show. That would be interesting, like an entire season, so that at
Mm.
least the podcast won't run out of content. But yeah.
Mm.
I want to thank
Yeah,
again my
yeah,
guest, Sir Phil. Thank you so much again
yeah.
for thing.
Yeah, thank you too. You're welcome. So anytime you can invite me again.
Yeah, and for those who are tuning in, I hope you learned a lot from this conversation. If you guys have some questions, you know, leave me the social media, the Rajiv Show on Instagram or on Facebook. If you want to reach out to Sir Phil, and saying, you could reach out to me and I can connect you to Sir Phil, that would also be a little bit helpful. But with that in mind, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you, folks, in the next episode. Cheers, folks.